2:37 a.m. on Monday morning, November 6th. It's probably used to be what, 1:37 a.m. or 3:37 a.m. I don't know. We changed time yesterday. Nobody has any idea what's going on. Talk about a bunch of people roaming around with their heads lopped off like zombies, even though we got an extra hour of sleep last night. Everybody I knew was yawning last night. Anyway, why am I awake and why am I showing you college basketball? Well, I got into a problem. I got into a situation, a conundrum, if you will. I didn't want to do any sports algorithm videos anymore. I said I wasn't doing them anymore. And I want to keep that promise because I don't like gambling anymore. It's ruining my life on many different levels. However, I had another promise that I ended up breaking, and I realized it yesterday as I just kept getting emails from people that are like, yo, Ken, where's the college basketball file? You doing it? And I kept responding to everybody saying, no, I'm having a rough go of it. Like I'm trying to get away from sports gambling and I really don't want to look at it. It's not healthy for me. And everyone's been super nice and understanding, except there are people that I promised I was doing this for. And then those people started sending me messages and I thought, oh crap, I have to do this for you. Like I do. So this is why we find ourselves here at 2:30 in the morning, not being able to sleep because I don't want to disappoint people, especially when it comes to work that I've spent years perfecting. And I just sat down and I did it. And to be honest with you, it took me less than 20 minutes. So I should really shut up and quit whining. But I figured I'd do this video for everyone, even though I'm not doing sports betting videos anymore. I figured I'd do this video for you, and I'm putting this thing up for sale for just $100 because I could really use the money, actually. So I am putting it back up on the website, and I'm doing this video to show you how it works so that you can subscribe to RotoWire and do it yourself because I have to do it. Anyway, I have to do it. I forgot I had to do it. So I did it. So let's talk about what's happening. This looks like a mess of colors. I always call it's kind of like a financial work of art or a numerical work of art. So we're going to go through the columns that are here in this pivot table, and we're going to quickly go over all the sheets to explain what's happening. And I haven't looked through this yet, so we're going to discover where the odds makers screwed up on day one, because that's what this file will show you, is where it's smarter than the odds makers. At least it will do that, because college basketball does work. So what's happening here is there's a bunch of different sheets that you update information from. You grab the odds from RotoWire, which the link is right here, and you grab the odds and you paste them here. That's where the odds go. You have a cube, which you generally don't have to do much to if you're only going to operate this thing one day at a time. Meaning, as soon as you paste in the odds and update all the stats, this is going to automatically populate itself. You can record scores here, like when the Georgia-Oregon game happens, say that they actually lose. Georgia actually loses to Oregon 67-72. You can manually put the scores here if you want, and then they will show up in the results pivot. We'll go over that in a second. But basically, you don't have to do anything in this sheet. It's going to populate itself now completely. I want to make it easier for everybody. So that's good. There's a standing sheet where we gauge all the different teams and we change different percentages and ratios. I'm not going to explain all the inner workings of how to do that, but you can change percentages here and it will change the power percentage of the team. I've done a lot of videos in the past showing how to work on optimal scenarios for this. So this video is not going to be about this, but this is where you do that in the standing sheet. There's an injury pivot table, which you refresh after you update the injury sheet right here. The injuries go right here. Get those from RotoWire right there. So then you refresh the injury pivot. For example, on Alcorn State, somebody's out. Jeremiah Kendall's out, undisclosed. I don't know. That guy was good last year. And I'll explain the term last year because we're working off of last year's stats completely. As you can see, past year, that is what we are working with right up here in the results pivot. You have the option of choosing past year or current year. If you do current year, you get nothing. Nothing's going to show up because there's no current year stats yet. But past year is in there. Past year is good enough for now on day one. So we're working with past year stats. Player stats are all from past year. This is where they would go. when you get them. So you would paste them right in here. We don't have any yet. Current year school stats. You get almost everything from RotoWire except for this, which is the current year stats. And you go here, and you click here, and this big, huge table comes up, and I actually copy it by hand off the website and paste it right here every day to update it. It's annoying because it's really long, and you have to like scroll down and highlight the entire thing because I don't have a data connection doing it. You just do it manually. You can set up a data connection if you're knowledgeable in Excel. I choose not to do it because the data connection doesn't always format properly. And so I just go there every day. When I used to do this every day, I used to go there every day, copy and paste it right here. The RotoWire one is, I don't have the RotoWire team stats link anywhere. Do I have it? I don't have it, but it's located on RotoWire. And I just have the past year team stats, which is this thing. Okay, so it's this one that you get off of RotoWire. I don't have the link in here, but it's pretty easy to find. So this is the prior year stuff because we're using prior year right now. So this is that sports reference link for the prior year. Like Abilene Christian was 13-17 last year. This is all their stats. And then there's a matrix if you have any team name problems, which I'm not going to focus on in this video, but sometimes the names will need to be streamlined because there's so many different ways that people refer to a college basketball team name on different sites. And so these are the finalized names that we use. And anytime a new team comes in, you'll see an error will pop up in the standing sheet here if something's not working. So you have to streamline whatever the team name is. And that's just a technical thing that I'm not really going to talk about, but it's one of the ways you have to fix this file once in a while if new teams come in here. And I don't know if there are any new teams moved up this season. You'll find that out after current season stats come in after the first couple days. So it's really not that bad. There's really not all that much here to update. But looking through the file, which is what we're going to do here in the rest of this video, does take a while. So you're looking at a big pivot table. You refresh this pivot table whenever you update stats or anything. It's huge things a pivot table. A lot of awesome stuff going on in here. So we're looking at prior year. We're going to look at the date. This is the date pivot right here, this thing. We're going to look at the day of the 6th. Okay. So one by one, what is this? SOS-TOR, SOS opponent, SOS differential. This is the strength of schedule. Right now it's looking at the strength of schedule from last year. Everything's related to last year because there's no stats this year yet. Strength of schedule of the team of reference. This is the team of reference. So Iowa's strength of schedule last year was 10.39. The higher number means they played better teams. That's what that means. Lower number or a negative number means on average they played worse teams. Wisconsin Green Bay, for example, has a negative strength of schedule. That's the opponent here. So you're looking at a game here where Iowa State's played a lot of really good teams last year. Wisconsin Green Bay played a lot of not so great teams last year. Here's the strength of schedule differential is, which means that the difference between these two means that Iowa State stats, even though it says Iowa State's going to win, they also played a bunch of better teams last year. So when you have a big green number here, it means that the stats are even more relevant and more, you're actually like bumping up the stats even more because they already played better teams anyway. So their stats shouldn't, if all things being equal, if the stats were completely equal between Ohio State and Wisconsin Green Bay, you'd still want to take Iowa State because they played a bunch of better teams last year. So their stats wouldn't necessarily look as good because they played a bunch of better teams. So looking for a green number here and a positive number here is something to look for because it means that it's just a reinforcing factor that your pick is also really good because the strength of schedule differential is good. Contrary to that, or the opposite of that, is when the strength of schedule is negative. Let's find one where it's really negative, like this one here. Oral Roberts played some not so great teams last year, and Texas Arlington played some better teams last year. So here you have to be careful because even though it says Oral Roberts is going to win this game, you can see they're an underdog line at minus 105, plus 105. Let me go back to that for a second. I understand why the odds makers are making them an underdog line because they played worse teams last year. All right. So, yeah, so their strength of schedule is negative. So it doesn't mean that they're that much better than Arlington. However, the margin for them It's still 30%. So they're probably still going to win today, whatever. All right, let's keep going. Team of reference, the team that we're talking about, the team that the algorithm is favoring is over here as the team of reference. Are they home or are they away? This is also not right early in the season because all these teams are playing tournaments and stuff and nobody's at like their home location half the time. So I don't know which teams are neutral and I did not change this. You have to actually look this up manually. I'm not doing that. I'm not spending my time doing that. But you got to know that early in the year because there's something called a home bump that you can add to this. If you put 5% in here, it bumps the home team by a margin of 5%. All these teams and scores and stuff are going to move around. You can do this with this file. This file does everything. It's pretty awesome. All right. So home or away, I'll put it win game, cover spread. Did they win the game? Did they cover the spread? We're going to hide that for now to make this easier. It only shows up after you put the scores in. It'll tell you if the team won or lost after you put the scores in the cube and whether or not they covered the spread. Why can't I hide this? Got a lot of processing going on here. Okay. Health. Health is related to the injury report. And it ranks the players and it ranks how many of them are injured and how many of them are healthy. So this number over here is doing. Sometimes you have to mess around with this number and this formula when the injury report changes around. We don't include people that are out for season. I know I went really fast and talked about that, but I've talked about it in previous videos, but you keep an eye on that. That's what this health number is. If a team is not very healthy, not when they're a 0. That means there's an error and the team has like nobody on the injury report or something like that. That's why that can be fixed later. Not if it's just a flat 0, but if they have a low number, then like 66, like a lot of guys on Syracuse may have graduated, I don't know what's going on there. But when they're really not healthy, you got to be careful because it means these guys are not playing and they were impactful players. So that's what the health number is for the team of reference and the health number for the opponent. Money line and implied money line. So this algorithm is so freaking awesome that it actually gives you what an implied money line is, meaning it's figuring out what the odds makers should make the line at. And by the end of the year, or even a few weeks into the year, the odds makers will start putting almost exactly what this implied line is as the real line because this algorithm is the standard in the industry. I have sold this to the odds makers for years. They are the ones that I promised this to, and they will freaking kill me if I don't give it to them. So this line is awesome. So we get to see where they screwed up here on day one. So let's look at where they have screwed up. Now, these ones where the money line is absolutely ridiculous, these are not going to be exact because this is not exact when a team is an enormous favorite. Like Iowa State is minus 17,000. We have them as minus 900. Here, it's not going to be exactly the same because you're way out into no man's land where there's like no payout. But when it starts getting, like, I'll show you where something that's a substantial difference. So bad line, bad line, bad line, bad line, bad line. Now we're starting to get closer. Okay, what happened here? Southern Utah is an underdog against Cal State Bakersfield. They had a better strength of schedule last year. They're plus 118, and the algorithm says they should be minus 561. They have a 38.4% margin. Now, there's a chance Southern Utah may have lost some of their really good players from last year, and maybe the odds makers did a better job than us, but I'm going to go ahead and say no. I'm going to go ahead and say no. We go ahead and say Southern Utah probably wins this game, right? That's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you that if the algorithm is doing what it's supposed to do in the beginning of the year, Southern Utah, even though they're on the road, is probably going to beat Cal State Bakersfield or probably at least cover the spread. So we'll see if that happens. I know it's tough for away teams to win, and that's another reason why they're probably an underdog here, but this is still a huge margin in favor of Southern Utah. Okay, so keep that in mind. Let's see if there's other big ones. Here's another one, like that Oral Roberts game, but their strength of schedule is not nearly as good, and they're on the road. So the Southern Utah game's much better than the Oral Roberts game because the Southern Utah strength of schedule is positive. The only problem is both those teams are on the road. But so far, Southern Utah, huge differential. Now we're starting to get more reasonable, like Howard at home against Hampton. It's supposed to be minus 466, and it's minus 310. Now it's starting to look right. Sam Houston is another one. They're away though. See, all these teams are at least away, and away teams don't win nearly as much. You want to have home teams. There's a lot of games on here. We don't know who's a true home team though, guys. That's the other problem. I don't actually know who's a true home team. But one thing you can do if you want to browse this thing in different ways is what I always used to do is I always say, what are the pot of gold picks for the day? Pot of gold picks are home underdogs. Start clicking slicers. There's only two of them. It's Kansas State and Portland. I don't know if they're really home, might be tournament games, but Kansas State, especially, Kansas State has a 6% margin and they're plus 124 against USC. That's why, because USC has a little extra money on them because they're USC. So it's always good to look for home underdogs. So we just did that. Let's do another thing. Let's sort this by money line. Money line descending is what we're going to do. Money line descending. Sorting it by money line descending shows you the biggest underdogs that the algorithm picks to win. Now, most of these, if not all of the big underdogs, are going to be away teams. Good idea to check to see if they're actually away. I'm not doing that for this video, but it's a good idea. Like, all these have really bad strength of schedule differentials, except for Kansas State. There's Portland, and there's that Southern Utah game. And look at that implied line. So what it's telling you is that these teams might not be a bad idea to take them plus their points, except they're all away and they all have really bad strength of schedule. So they're not great picks. Algorithms, I mean, the odds makers are pretty much already trying to use this algorithm, right? So they're getting it kind of right already. But one thing we found is Southern Utah probably wins this game. Look at what a huge outlier this is. They have a 38% margin according to us. We think they're going to win this game. Here's what gives you the exact score over here. We think they're going to win this game. I know it's tough to browse left to right. It's really tough to look at. So you kind of highlight it. They're supposed to win this game 76-67. Line value. That's right. We get to look at the line value. It tells you how much of general value you're getting out of it. So that's what I'm going to leave everybody with. I'm going to leave you with, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this anymore. You can buy this for $100 and you'll get this copy. And I'm probably going to need to do one other update for you with the new current season stats because you're going to run into problems and everyone's going to start asking me a bunch of freaking questions. I know that's going to happen. So I'll probably have to do another day or two after we get going. But I'll send you that version as well. But I'm not doing it for the month. I'm not doing it for the season. I'm not doing it, not doing it, not doing it, not doing it. I'm just getting you going so that I can get you going and I can get the mob off my back. All right. So that's what I'm doing. And if you do one thing tomorrow, you try playing Southern Utah. Will it win? Nothing's 100%. But this is an enormous outlier. The algorithm says that the odds makers screwed this game up. Bakersfield's a pretty crappy town. I've been there. I had a client in Bakersfield. They sold bail bonds to people. They were a payroll client of mine. I went to visit them. I drove all the way to Bakersfield for no reason out of Las Vegas just to say hello, and they didn't even renew my payroll program, even though they liked it. That's the kind of town Bakersfield is. And they also were like behind, barred doors, and the woman was really super scared when I just knocked on the door because people come there, obviously criminals come there because they sell bonds. Anyway, that's my story for the day. So the college basketball algorithm is ready. There you go. It's $100. Good luck. May Southern Utah be winning, and may all your picks be winning, even if I'm not betting. I'm a whole lot healthier when I'm not betting, everybody. It's really good not to lose money every day and do something else. But you can play, and you'll probably win. I've had people give me nothing but praise about this file. I've had kids tell me that it put them through college, that this algorithm is so good. So I can't not do it for those reasons and others. All right, good luck. May all your picks be winning.